can you make changes to that now? Is there things that can be done? What would you do?
I think what frustrates me, mate, is that COVID has provided ample time for the sport, and I'm not just talking about Britain, I'm talking about Australia as well, to have a look at its place in the world and what it wants to be in the 21st century. There is still things that are happening in rugby league that happened in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And I'm talking about games on a Sunday, people walking to the ground, trying to buy some food and a drink. Now, the world has changed an awful lot. We have got to stop thinking that people still want to buy 10 months worth of a season ticket and turn up week in, week out to watch a team in cold weather. We have got to change how we look at the game. You said to me, what would I do? Well, there'll be a lot of things I'd come up with that would have to stand up to scrutiny. And somebody'd say, you can't do that because you can't do that because. But I'll tell you this. We do need names, I believe, like and this is my personal opinion, it's not Spanish, it's not the company that I run or anything like that at the school. Having a name like Toronto in the English Super League was huge. It just meant something else to people who were looking at it. That Toronto as a country as a population, of a few million, and a big sporting market. Toronto had crowds that many Super League clubs have struggled to get for 30 years. And I would have done everything I can to keep a Toronto in there. Maybe the methods used to get Toronto in there in the first place need to be reviewed. But I would, in terms of answering what I would do, I would look for reasons for things to happen, not look for reasons not to happen. I would do something whereby our game is on as many screens as possible. We need to get our game in front of so many people's eyes, as many people's eyes as we can. People need to be sat in a bar in New York or Los Angeles or Thailand or wherever and have the chance to just be drinking their beer and look up and see this game on the telly. Because I'm biased and I think rugby league has a great conversion rate. You take 10 people to a game of rugby league, I reckon 6 to 7 people go away enjoying it. I think it's got a real high conversion rate. Well, that suggests to me, and bear in mind I run a business now too, if I can get my product in front of 10 people, I've got more chance of selling it than if I get it in front of 2 people, And I would like to see the game do whatever it can to get on as many screens as possible, whether that means giving free rights to someone as tasters, ESPN, beIN Sports, give them State of Origin, the Challenge Cup final, the Grand Final in Australia, internationals, give them for free for 3 years. And I think you'd get long-term benefits from that. We're still in a position where we're trying to grow the game, yet we act like a sport that doesn't need to grow sometimes. I've heard 1,000 stories about players and clubs in England restricting media access, stopping media access because they were focusing on a game or whatever. Well, they will need that media access when they're crying out because their wages got slashed by COVID and furlough. The game was built on sand in that sense. We need to be open to the media, and not just our own media. We need to be open to getting on mainstream TV. I remember when I worked at Wigan, I was the media officer at Wigan, and I was only a young pup. I was 21, 22. And to try and get through to the mainstream, I sent a Wigan shirt to Kim Marsh. You know Kim Marsh, who's on Coronation Street?
Yeah.
Right? She's a Wigan girl. And back then, she was on the Pop Stars programme. So I got a Wigan shirt and posted it to her, and just said we'd love Kim to wear it on the show at some point. And not only that, she didn't just wear it. The program got in touch with us, came to the ground. Kim and a couple of the other pop stars, I can't even remember the names, they were rubbish, trained with the players. And Wigan, the brand, we were on a TV show on a Saturday night that had 3 million viewers. Now,
it's not hard.
Lee Addison, no. Now, I'm not saying that that changed the game of rugby league. What I'm saying is it's that kind of thought that needs to be a perennial thought in the minds of the people who run our game. It's about brand awareness. And if you know anything about selling anything, people who make decisions about buying things tend to hover around something for a while. They don't just go, I like that, I'm going to buy it. Or most people aren't that impulsive. They hover around something for a while and they get warm and fuzzy about it. They might look at something 5 times. So getting that kind of brand awareness needs to be a perennial thought, a constant thought. And that's where I'm saying giving the free rights. Because ESPN aren't going to pay 40 million for the rights. So give them for free, give them a taster. And then when they get some people watching it, when they get some interest, they might come back and say, we want some more. Can we have some more? And I think we need business brains. The game needs to be looked at as a business because it's been around for 125 years. And as you saw from that tweet I put where there was just all the clubs around the M62, we've not travelled very far. And I reckon that's a great chance and a great also excuse to go, hang on a minute, we've not done this very well. We need to look at it differently.
Would you return to the UK for the chance to change rugby league?
Yeah. I don't think I'm qualified to be anything like a CEO or anything like that. Because I'll tell you why. Because I think the CEOs that we need to get need to be the kind of people who are CEOs of different walks of life as well. Not just somebody who played a bit of rugby league, or we need to be, and that's why I applauded at the time the appointment of Robert Elston. He'd been a CEO at Everton FC. Not sure everyone's applauding him now, but it's that kind of, to be a CEO, you need to be at the top of the game. You need to be a high performance CEO, if you ask me. So when you say, would I go back and try and change it? Well, I'd love to change it from a coaching point of view because that's my niche. I can have opinions about the game just like you can. We're all stakeholders. And it's one thing me saying that. It's then got to be actioned. The game has a massive problem in the sense that it's a bit, it likes to cannibalize itself. It's a bit dog eat dog. I think one of the problems is there's not that much money swimming around in it. So the jobs aren't super lucrative unless you're at the real top end. And people just hang on to those jobs like their life depends on it. And if that means stabbing people in the back or taking credit for other people's work or something, they do it. And I don't doubt the integrity of so many people in rugby league. What I do question is some of the things that they do, and why they do them. Again, I got so frustrated when I was Poland coach. It doesn't take much to generate interest. It doesn't take massive budget. It doesn't take much as well to have some compassion for countries that are trying to develop the game. I'll give you an example from Australia, mate. The last CEO of the NRL, Todd Greenberg, was known as somebody who liked to control the rights of all visuals. I might be giving him a bad name by virtue of the fact he was a CEO. Maybe it wasn't him, but basically they like to own all their content. So a few years ago, if you reproduced anything NRL, it would take a few days and they would write to you and say, take that down or else you'll be hearing from our lawyers. Well, that's great if you are the NFL and you've got 2 billion people watching your Super Bowl final. They could probably lose a quarter of that and still be happy. The NRL and Rugby League in general is trying to generate supporters. And there was all these people putting out content for free. There are Rugby League influencers now who put out content, and they do it for nothing, some of them. And I use Poland as an example because Polish Rugby League actually got going because the guy over there, Łukasz, stumbled across the game on YouTube. A fan had put a game of Parramatta Eels on. Just decided to. And he stumbled across it. If he'd have been a few years later, under the era of we take those YouTubes down, Rugby League might not exist in Poland. And that's my point. We need to get it in front of as many eyeballs as we can. As many eyeballs. If that's through influencers, so be it, you know?